Hello everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the cactus, the bunny ears cactus. So, the common name is bunny ears cactus, but it is also known as angel wings cactus. The scientific name for this species is Opuntia, microdasys. And the epithet part of the name here, micro is small and dasys is furry, so it's indicating that it's a diminutive-sized and fuzzy cactus, which the appearance is certainly there, but being completely honest with you, it's not nearly as fuzzy as it looks. This plant's native range is in Mexico, upwards to the southern United States, so that would be in Arizona. However, individuals of this cactus have been able to slowly find their way over to East Africa, and countries such as Kenya and Tanzania have populations in the wild now because the cactus has naturalized over there. I am not aware of whether it is considered a proper invasive species or not, or if it's relatively benign in their ecosystems, but either way it has certainly found its way outside its native range with human help. They tend to be relatively small, about, 20 to 40 inches tall at full size, and I think the 40-inch range would be an exceptionally large specimen. They're normally a good bit smaller than that, but once in a while I have seen a fairly big one. However, relative to most other prickly pear cactus they are quite small. There is a closely related species that can be distinguished from them by having red fluff instead of white, but I don't recall the scientific name for that one off the top of my head. In captivity, these species rarely flowers, but flowers are yellow. Flowers yellow, and this will give rise to pink fruit. Now, I want to disclaimer this, that it's not any sort of medical advice, but I am fairly certain that there are no species of cactus with poisonous fruit, assuming it's allowed to ripen first. So, theoretically, they are safe to eat. However, it would need some special preparations first to remove the spines, and I cannot say whether or not it would be appetizing. However, many prickly pears are consumed by people, so perhaps it is. I don't know, it's probably not going to flower for me, and I wouldn't risk it because I don't know how much I trust people saying that there is no such thing as a dangerous cactus fruit. Here is the plant now. Let me just... So, this one here is rather small, but zoomed in like this, you can have a fairly good look at the tufts of fuzz. This species, the fuzz actually has two functions in this species, where the first one is probably more to credit with its success, because if fog were to gather at night around these, they would be able to collect it as dewdrops and give the plant some water it needs. But they also have the function where each one has backwards facing spines on it, and being thinner than a human hair, they break off quite easily and become embedded in you. I absolutely refuse to handle the species even with gloves, because there's too much of a risk of getting spines off. And if you have seen my video about the gimpy stinging tree, you would know that I'm willing to handle a lot of stuff barehanded that I probably shouldn't. I think that should say something about how unpleasant it is to try and get these annoying little spine hairs out once they become embedded. Now, the technical term for such hairs is a glochid, which this is common in the genus Opuntia. In most cases they occur alongside more conventional spines, but this particular bunny ears cactus, they and a couple of others are deceptively unarmed. Once again, do not handle them with bare hands, because you will be left pulling spines out of yourself for quite some time. They are among the most unpleasant plants to be in contact with, that are also relatively common in cultivation, because for the most part, this one hasn't done it yet because it's a little bit young, but they tend to grow their cactus pads in sets of two, so there would typically be a second one branching off here, and the bifurcating growth pattern is why they are known as the bunny ears cactus. Now, something about cactus anatomy that I think is important to note is that the cactus pads, which you can see a split point here, if the camera wants to focus on it. Yeah, the pads diverged about here. The cactus pad is a stem, so the stem tissue is where the pads come from, and the cactus leaves in almost all species have been greatly reduced in size and are now these little glochids you see here. So each one is many leaves. Most cactus only make spine leaves, however, there are a few more primitive sorts of cactus that have regular shaped leaves and spine leaves at the same time. And rather interestingly, among cactus species, especially in this genus, is that the ripe fruit can be used to grow cuttings from. If it were to break off early, the fruit would grow leaves out of it and keep going instead of needing to grow them from their seeds, which is not something I see very often, especially not repeatedly. Now, how you were to grow this species, at the moment it's indoors under lights, because unlike some sorts of prickly pear, this one is not cold hardy in northern United States, although there is a native one here, so some types of prickly pear cactus can survive. But during the summer, I put it outside in full sun. It is in fairly well-draining soil, but a common trick or trap I see with cactus is that when people have them indoors under lights, they tend to become kind of long and thin. So this was grown before I got it, when it was in a dark part of the greenhouse, and this one grew after I got it. And you can see this cactus pad is wider than this one. It looks like it has the beginnings of a one right up here, and I will have to be careful to ensure that this one is given adequate lighting so that it doesn't become long and thin and the cactus can support itself properly. And just an aside, the proper plurals of cactus is cactuses. I tend to get a little bit irritated by people insisting that it's cacti because, well, we're not speaking Latin right now, at least I don't. So in English, the proper plural is almost invariably with the es on the end. So it's, one cactus, two cactuses. That's all I have to say about them for now. If this plant were to flower, I would probably make a second video about it. But thank you for listening, have a great day, and I hope to record more often now. Thank you.